I've just got this woman's signature. Here it is. Odette Hallowes, one of the bravest women in the Second World War. She was, as it says here, an agent for Special Operations Executive in France. She was betrayed, captured by the Nazis, tortured, red-hot irons put on her back. All her toenails were torn out with pliers. She was then never said anything. She never betrayed anybody. She was sent to the infamous women-only concentration camp Ravensbrück, where she was due to be executed, but she luckily managed to persuade them that her husband was related to Winston Churchill. So the camp director of Ravensbrück personally drove her to safety at the end of the war to try and save himself. He was then eventually executed, and she went back to Britain. She was then given the honour of being the first ever woman to receive what's known as the George Cross, the highest possible commendation for civilians in war. It's equal to the Victoria Cross, but just for civilians. And they made a film of her, for example. She never sought it. She never wanted anything, just to be live with her family after the war. And then began a slow process of vilification. She even said that what happened to her after the war was more distressing than the time she spent in the Ravensbrück concentration camp. Her own records went missing from SOE, in which she had claimed, following her release, that she thought there was a mole in the senior ranks of SOE. Also, from that record went missing all the evidence that she'd been tortured, including the pulling out of her toenails, and which grew back after 3 years, so she couldn't prove it then. And suddenly a whispering campaign started. Some people claimed that she had actually been sleeping with the camp director of Ravensbrück, that also that she'd never actually done any spy work when she was abroad. She spent all time in her bed with her lover, and also that she'd even made up her claims of being tortured by the Nazis. This whole thing is exposed in this book I've just bought and read, which is absolutely horrifying. It was absolutely disgraceful what happened to her. You can't imagine how brave these people were. She was a radio operator trained. And for example, if you were a radio operator back then and you was dropped behind the lines, your average life expectancy was 6.5 weeks. Just imagine knowing that's your likely fate and yet volunteering for this incredible effort to defeat the Nazis. Eventually, everything went okay, and she was finally exonerated, and she lived a long and happy life in the end. And I'm just so proud that I possess a signature on this D-Day anniversary first day letter signed by her. Unbelievable bravery.